Well, Audible.com is our sponsor for today. You can get a free audiobook trial with my link over here. You can go to www.audibletrial.com/DJacksonShow. Audible.com has over 150,000 titles to choose from. You can listen from anywhere and from any device. It's as simple as choosing the book you want, and boom, you're instantly engaged by only the finest voices in the industry. For that free trial of mine, that link once again is www.audibletrial.com/DJacksonShow. All right, so I have Jeird Dubon on the podcast over here, and so I think I got most of my audio delay off. I'm still working on it right now, so bear with us while we try to figure out how to get this all up and working over here, but hopefully we'll be able to have where we can have the cameras now pointed over towards us a little bit better over here. Last time you fell asleep on me, man.
I did.
I was you were over here, Eric was over here, and then just boom. I was like, turn off the video, turn off the video.
You were talking about freaking aliens, too. Come on,
aliens.
bro.
Yes, I was.
I ain't into all that shit.
Yeah. No, I saw it, and I saw your face, and you're like, no. That was the topic that was just like, you know what, this is a sleeping topic for me.
Yeah, it was a long day. Been up since 4, and then when you're trying to talk about aliens at 11 o'clock at night, it just puts you to sleep.
Oh yeah. No, I was just, it was funny. It was funny to watch. I was just like, oh, okay.
I was fighting. It was like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
I felt sorry for you too, because I just saw it and I was just like, man, you must be just so.
And Eric's over there
tired.
Pumped up, like,
Eric
let's talk about this.
Let's talk about aliens. You know, man, I miss him already. It's weird how like he's only been gone for just like a week now.
Yes, barely a week.
Yep, barely a week. I'm like, I miss my Eric. I need my Eric time.
Right.
You know,
we still got 14 days before he's back.
Yeah.
Earlier tonight, Darian said, call the guys. I'm like, I'll call Eric. He's the responsible one.
Yeah.
oh, so Eric's the responsible one.
He does. He picks up the phone.
Always picks up and answers quickly.
True. I'll give you that. He does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's over there whoosh, with the phone.
He's always got it beside him, though. It's like,
yeah.
Like, if I'm home, a lot of times, if I'm home, I set it down.
Mm-hmm.
And, in the room. Yeah, and the volume might not be on. And then I come back later, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now, he's always been, he would even answer the phone. Like, I remember calling him like 3 in the morning one time, and I was just like, hey, I was fucked up, and I was like, hey, man. He's like, Darian? I was like, why'd you even answer at 3 in the morning?
Right.
But, yes, it's me, so.
Yeah, he's good about that.
But yeah, no,
you should see if he's, I need to see if he's awake.
Send him over here. Send him the broadcast. Tune it
Yeah.
in over there for it. So, I've had a pretty good week, I would say, over here. It's been a pretty decent week all the way around. We had y'all over a couple of times. Y'all been over our house quite a bit this week, at least.
Yeah.
Y'all been here, that's 3 times in 3 days? Yeah.
I can probably say I spent my vacation at Darian and Harmony.
Yeah. We played Monopoly for the first time. I've played Monopoly before. Me and my brothers used to play it all the time. But Harmony never played it. And then apparently Jeird and Jake never played it. Jake still hasn't played it. And then Melody never played it. And so I was like, what in the world? I was the only one in the whole entire group that's ever played Monopoly before. So I was like, okay, it's time to make some enemies. That game is evil, okay?
Yeah.
I swear to God. Like, once you start getting those, it starts off all mellow, and you're like, oh, I can enjoy this game, and then it starts getting over just like, I hate you.
Right?
I hate you, You're all cutting deals and shit.
Yeah.
It's just horrible. It's horrible. Make everyone hate you in the room, By the end of it, it's not like a good, good game. It's like a fuck you,
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was pretty fun over there. Then you enlightened me. You said that you were reading up on something about how the Monopoly over there, McDonald's does that whole Monopoly thing over here. And there's like this big old huge scandal that happened with it.
Huge, yeah.
And so I actually started giving it a look over here, and it's rather interesting, actually. They had an ex-cop. He was a cop. rigged a McDonald's Monopoly game and stole millions of dollars with it.
Millions, yep.
And apparently he was part of like the mafia and like all different kinds of stuff over here. So I'll be putting this article over here in the description over here. But we'll kind of give it a little skim through and kind of read through a little bit because actually I haven't ever read it. I've never even heard about this before until you said something.
Yeah, I hadn't heard anything about that, and then I saw it pop up on Snapchat stories, and I was like, and it was one of those stories that just captivated me. And 20 minutes later, I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Let me pop this up right over here. We got this article over here. It was says on August 3rd, 2001, a McDonald's film crew arrived in the bustling beach town of Westerly, Rhode Island. They carried their cameras and giant cashiers checks to a row of townhouse and knocked on the door of Michael Hoover, the 56-year-old bachelor, had called a McDonald's hotline to say he won their Monopoly competition. Since 1987, McDonald's customers had feverishly collected Monopoly game pieces attached to drink cups, French fry packets, and advertising inserts in magazines. You know, I never really got that. I saw people doing that all the time with the Monopoly stuff. They go like fucking crazy over there.
Yeah.
It's like just any kind of like, I get a free soda. You know, it's just like it's crazy. Especially I don't know. It's booming. You know.
And Albertsons made it big too for a little while there.
Oh yeah.
I never shopped there much. I think they still do it.
Yeah, it's a nice little. I don't know if it's a scam. I would say it was weird. It's just weird, you know.
I think it's cool to see that through that article. You can see they actually had $1 million prizes and $500,000 prizes. Because like if I ever play anything like that, like I'm just hoping for like a free fry or
I know, right? That's what I said. Yeah,
Whataburger or free, you know, just the food. I don't expect to get any of the other stuff.
I mean, what would it be like to just like pull off the sticker and be like, oh, I won $1 million.
Yeah.
You know, it would just be something weird. I was like, you know, like you said, I was expecting a French fry. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but yeah, this whole entire thing was a crazy scandal. Apparently, somebody was working from the inside and like all different kind of stuff. I'm gonna have to go skim through that. You know, like the FBI was all involved, and
it took them years. Like they had to trace because they didn't want to just pop one person; they wanted to pop the whole ring.
Yep.
And so they waited. And waited and waited, and finally they had enough. And they even
it's got like wiretaps. And
yeah, because McDonald's was aware that was going on, and they were about to stop. And the FBI had to convince McDonald's to do it again, like one more time, because they were going to get sued. Because once the story broke, they were going to get sued because it wasn't fair. But they were like, do it one more time so we can catch everybody.
That's ridiculous, man. But what a great scheme, though. I mean, where you fool the FBI so much where they're like, hey, they're gonna be greedy. Let's let them do it again. Yeah. Like if $1 million wasn't good enough to begin with, you know, it's like let's do it again. You know.
Well, see, what's funny is it really shows how money does not solve your problems, because what happened was this guy who was doing it was giving it away to a lot of his friends and family members.
Right, yeah.
But what happened was one person would inherit money, and then he gets in a fight with his wife, and they break up, and she starts saying, well, he never found that piece anyway. Someone gave it to him. And then that just and how it was funny how many people, that's what it was. They got that money, and then their life was good for a minute, and then they got in debt, and shit started to blow up.
Right.
And the finger started being pointed back at him.
No, I thought that was crazy. And then apparently they're going to be making a movie about it over here. Yeah. They have Ben Affleck and Matt Damon teaming up for McDonald's Monopoly scam movie. That's funny.
I want to watch this.
Right? I know. It's got me intrigued over here, you know? I'm over here like the McDonald's scam. Apparently it was right at the same time 9/11 happened over there, so they had bigger things to fry.
Yeah.
Yep. Ben and Matt paid $1 million just to have for the rights to that story.
That's crazy. I wonder if they're gonna be like Catch Me If You Can, that Leonardo DiCaprio movie where it's just like he's running from the FBI and like all that kind of stuff.
I
You
don't
know,
think that's not Catch Me If You Can.
is it? No.
Catch
or-
Me If You Can is is the one with the
magician.
4 magicians.
okay. What is that one I'm thinking though? You know what I'm talking about, right?
The Great Gatsby?
No,
not
no.
the Great. I know which one you're talking about. The
It has-
Wolf of Wall Street.
What? No. It has what's his face in it?
You said
It has Woody, the guy who plays Woody.
That's
The
Matt Damon. So kind of like Bourne.
hold on, let me see.
No,
You're talking
no,
about Woody Harrelson.
no. Woody is Tom Hanks, right?
No, Tom Hanks. Thank God. Yes. I think I'm saying what. I think I'm saying it right.
Oh.
Yeah, this movie right there.
Catch Me If You Can.
Catch Me If You Can. Has Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks.
Now You See Me is the
Now you see, yeah.
magician.
Which one is that the one where? That's the one with the Catch Me If You Can is the one with. He's the flight.
Flight guy, yeah.
That's based off a true story.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
A book. It was his like biography.
Yep. And he was like the best forger of all times over there, and like he got up there with was it the CIA or FBI? I can't remember which one that was hunting him down. But then they turned around and used him to figure out scams afterwards, you know?
Yeah, because he was so good.
Because he was so kick-ass like that. I'm like, man, I don't know if I would want to be that guy because, I mean, that would be miserable to live a life where you're always running around, but at the same time, you got a government job afterwards.
I wonder if it was truly miserable, or does he? Is it the adrenaline rush of?
You know how awesome
can
it
do
is,
this.
though, sometimes when you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing. Like, if you're, like, you know, doing something, you're like, oh, there could be a chance where this is illegal. It makes it that much more interesting for
Yeah.
us, you know, where you get more of like if a cat runs over there, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
You know?
almost like a high.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I think some people just get, like, stuck up on it, like, where they just,
Adrenaline junkie.
yeah, they get adrenaline junkie, and that's why I used to watch. I read a comic book that was a Batman comic where they had these guys on there that they were super rich and rich family and whatnot, but they like to rob stuff just for the fun of it, type thing, you know, just to see if they could get away with it. So they didn't need the money. They just wanted to rob stuff to get the little adrenaline rush off of it. So, and then
Yeah.
of course, you know, in the Batman comics, Batman beats the shit out of them and stuff like that, you know. So, but no, I always thought it was interesting over there. I always wanted to work for the FBI. That was kind of one of my dream jobs. At one point, I was working really hard towards it, and I wanted to do computer like forensics, you know. So I worked really, really hard on it, and then I actually did work with the FBI closely with a couple of different situations over there. Or, you know, it was kind of weird. I didn't really know if it was FBI related situations. They were kind of really hush hush about their crap that they were doing. You know, and so I can't tell if someone was bullshitting me or if I was like for real actually talking to some guy that was in the FBI, because there was just some weird stuff that happened while I was on doing stuff when I was younger. But yeah, no, that's always been one of the things. And then I realized something. It's like, you know, with all the secrets and stuff like that happen with all these like FBI stuff, you just really just don't want to know, man. You just don't want to know because it haunts you, you know, in your head. When you start realizing that there's some stuff over here and you can't tell anyone,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't make any sense. If you talk to somebody, it still doesn't make sense, you know. It will start messing with you, you know. So that's why I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get it with a career that's gonna be a little bit more settled down in the sense of things, you know. But that was always like that whole thought of being like a superhero type thing too, you know. That's just, I grew up on comic books and Batman and all the superheroes and stuff like that. So
Do you think so? Movies, a common theme in movies nowadays, it has the FBI involved, it has a person committing a crime and trying to get away with it in a lot of movies. And I know, like Eric and I will be watching them, and we're screaming at the TV, "You dumbass! Why would you do that? You don't do that." Are these movies making us better criminals? Are they making us as a society easier to commit crimes?
Well, for one thing, I can tell
Or
you.
or is it not real? Like what the movie is portraying, it wouldn't work anyways. I feel like though it's the point of the movie is once you've done it one time, well now they need to come out with something more real because I already saw this in another movie, so you can't show me the same thing because now I already know. You know, it's you're trying to make me more. It's more of a mystery.
Yeah. Well, one thing yeah, it is where they do make a lot of bullshit up in a lot of the different things. Like at least in the side of computer science, where I know kind of all of their, anything hacker related is really, really far fetched and really, really ridiculous. Like they just can't do, or they do certain things that just they don't know what they're talking about. And
Yeah.
so they make it overhyped where like, they had this new horror movie that came out that was like Deep Web. It's like one of those the new have you seen that yet? That trailer?
Deep or dark web?
I think it was called Deep or
Dark web.
Dark Web. Okay, yeah, Dark Web. That was an interesting one, but like that's the thing that everyone thinks of when they think of like a deep web like type thing, but it's not really yeah, it's not really the same when you go on the dark web. It's kind of boring. There's not people trying to kill you all the time, for no apparent reason.
Some
You
fat
know,
dude in his basement.
yeah, it's some fat dude in his
Mom's
basement that
basement.
likes child pornography. I'm not joking. That's the worst part.
Oh my gosh, it's probably true, Tad, but true.
But yeah, no, and then just stuff like, but I do find though one thing. My mom loved all those To Catch a Criminal, the FBI files, the stuff where it was like they were talking about how people got caught, how people killed their wife for the insurance money and all that kind of stuff, and like to say though I've watched enough of it where like I know how to cover my tracks now. Like you were saying,
Yeah.
I know what they're looking for, how they're looking for it. In a sense where like if I ever had to do anything or if I ever got psycho and went and did that, you could study a couple of those and sit down for a week and figure out how to cover your tracks really, 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 really well, and learning from other criminals' mistakes per se, and I think that's something new that we have where it's just like, and then everyone is very, we all kind of yearn to kind of see certain things like that. Like we're all captivated by, at least all of us in this room, captivated by that whole sense of like, oh, a murderer type thing. How did they catch him?
Yeah.
But then we know how they caught him, and it was something usually stupid.
Yep.
He had an expired license plate, or he had, and he sped away because he thought the cops were after him, and they were just trying to get him and pull him over. It's always a brake light, dude. It's always a brake light. It's always the brake light.
The small thing.
It's always the small things, yeah. I think that's God in certain situations too, where it's just like it's just there's certain times where it's like, oh, that's coincidence. I'm like, I have no idea how certain things would just be, where it's just like, why did that cop pull you over? Just because you're suspicious, or you swerved a little bit, and it was probably because he like dropped his phone for a second, and then he heard of the in the trunk something or something like that. It's like it's insane. Sometimes it doesn't make sense how they catch them. It's just like it's craziness. So I think sometimes God just kind of intervenes a little bit, or whatever the angel that they have over there that's on them. So yeah, but I think all these movies though that are with all these criminals and stuff like that, they are making us into more better criminals. I think the ones that we don't know about are the ones that scare me the most. Because they'll let you know about all the mediocre, stupid criminals. But if anyone ever does get away with anything, they don't like to talk about them. They don't want anyone to talk about them.
Yeah.
If they know they've been fooled, it's kind of like a slap to their face. So you get to hear about all the stupid ones, but you don't ever hear about the ones they never catch.
Yep.
The story that always fascinated me was always Jack the Ripper, though, man. Like that one was the most interesting. Like I would actually like to make a book about Jack the Ripper over there. Just a fantasy type book over there, because it was just such an interesting thing that happened over there, where they never caught him. There's a couple of people that said that they were him, but they never really knew. It was interesting.
I don't think I know the story.
You don't know the story of Jack the Ripper?
No.
Okay, I'll have to tell you about it sometime. But it's a lot of it's lore too, like legend.
Okay.
So it's kind of obscured by what was actually real. But it was just back in London time. I would say I don't even remember what time frame that was, like 1800s. There's a individual that was so precise in his killing that was like surgical in certain ways. But he was killing like prostitutes, and he was killing like certain types of women, and just kind of mutilating their bodies of sort, like taking limbs and stuff like that. But like they never caught him. They don't know where he came from, who he was, but it was very, very doctor like. It was kind of weird. And then he went quiet for a very long time. And then America, when the new America started happening over here and it started booming a little bit, it seemed like he moved away from over there and moved over here because we started having the same problems over here. And then like it stopped, and then it moved back over to England again. And it was weird. It was just a lot of it could be copycat too, and that's the worst part about, I think, ever broadcasting any kind of like anything related to serial killers and stuff like that, is you get so many copycats, Like I feel sorry for the FBI when anytime they have to release things into the public, they're just over like, oh God, we're gonna get like 50 different letters, and we have to figure out which one's actually the real killer that does it that way.
I think it's almost weird, even in the political realm, how much they have to release. Like, to me, there's some things like I think they came out just recently. The FBI had footage of another nuclear site in North Korea. Why does that need to be made news to everyone? And why do you want to tell Korea you know that? Some of it's just like, why don't you just keep quiet about it until you need to let it know that you know that.
Yeah, it's kind of like need to know type of situation. I think it's just that, a journalist picks up and is like, we're going to tell them. And then they're like, okay, you're going to obscure the truth a little bit. Let me tell you the truth,
Yeah.
And so they get to the point where they're pressured in that sense, where it's like, give us a story, give us a story, give us what we need to know, and then they push them to the limit where they have to tell them at least something,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, they say, man, that whole, like, everything over in, like, North Korea and stuff like that, it's all really obscured to us. Like, we're not getting all of it, Like, all the news that's coming out, you're just hearing very bits and pieces here and there. And, like, I heard that they're still keeping up, they're building their missile, like, base over there a little bit bigger, even though they're getting rid of their nuclear program, which doesn't make any sense. Why they would be making it, while it would be growing, unless they're just bullshitting us again,
Yeah.
And then it's funny that the news jumps on the thing where, like, oh yeah, North Korea and all this happiness with them, like they're actually complying a little bit, but like they've done this before, back and forth, over and over again. So it's like this is kind of almost like nothing new that they've done, The only new thing they've done is they actually met up with our president, And that was actually pretty funny. Did you watch that interview when
No, I didn't.
he was in that same room? He doesn't know how to actually like be around people like that, like think,
Who, Kim Jong-un or Trump?
Not Trump. Trump knows what he's doing, but North Korea guy, he's over there just like looking around, just like he looked very awkward in the situation. Like he was like, "I'm here,"
Yeah.
It was funny. It was funny to watch them go at it, but I would hate to be Trump in a situation where you're having to deal with a dictator that, I don't know, I would want to stab him, for all the craziness that he's done to his own people, and all the innocence and stuff that he's kind of washed off away like they're nothingness,
I think that's what helps Trump, because I think at the end of the day, Trump is a businessman. So business is his code of ethics almost. If it can make me $1, it's okay.
Yeah.
So when he goes into deals like that, he's accustomed to looking away from all the moral wrongdoings and unethical shit that might go
Yeah.
along to make that dollar. Because that's business. At the end of the day, business is all about the dollar.
Right.
So, and that's him. So,
It's funny, kind of like how Russian, or how we talk with Russia a little bit too. It's more on a friendlier basis in that same sense. Where like, hey, I can make you dollar, you can make me dollar, we'll be okay.
yeah.
If we start getting our wishy-washy feelings involved in it, a lot of what Russians do or the Russian president does over there is not, very good for his people.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that he does that's good, and there's a lot that's just kind of, it's borderline crazy.
I think Trump's approach is helping us because before, yes, we stood over here and during the Obama presidency and even in the Bush presidency, we were like, we want to be everybody's friend. But it was obvious behind the scenes we were doing things that help certain investors, certain this. There was money coming through and things being doing on the side.
Yep.
And while we were saying this. And I think other countries knew that. They didn't publicize it here. Other countries knew it.
Yeah, exactly.
But now Trump is just honest with you.
He's like, we're doing this. And we're like,
Doing
no,
this.
we're not. And he's like, yeah, we are. And
Yeah.
like, whether you like it or not type thing. And a lot of times I don't like it. But sometimes there's certain things where I'm like, hey, you know what? I can see that as a good move over here.
I think whether you like exactly what he's doing or not, he's not lying about what he's doing. He's doing it. All the other presidents, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. They don't do any of it.
Right.
And they're over here doing other stuff. It's like, you never said you were going to do that. At least
Right.
he's doing what he's saying.
I'm still waiting on that wall, though, man. He said that. He was pushing that one over here for a long time. They haven't done anything, it seemed like
He's
yet.
got to get the money for it.
Yeah.
And I think that comes up in like a month or two.
Okay.
Because they go over the budget again, and
Yep.
he wants that included in the budget, and they don't want to include it. He wants that, and but that goes along with the for DACA. So someone's gonna have to give because you got DACA coming up
Yep.
and the wall.
Yeah, that's just a ton of money right there over there. And then we've had this whole influx of people hating on the ICE, like big time, like with the whole entire situation with all the different, like, them ripping their kids away from them and having to isolate them and
Yep.
stuff like that. That's been in a very, I see where ICE is a good thing and it needs to be in place over there. But at the same time, I don't know. What do you do with that situation?
You do what is the law.
Yeah.
The law says do not come over illegally.
Right.
You brought your kid. I'm sorry, but you brought your kids over here. That is what happens. And media wants to portray, oh, look how bad we are. We split the parents from the kids.
Yep.
In anything else in society, you split the kids from the adult. You don't leave them together. Especially when you're talking about there might be criminals.
Yeah, and they might not even be related for all you
Yeah,
know.
I
There's
don't
no
want my kids
documentation.
with some child molester.
Yeah,
Take them over there. At least I know you're going to take care of them.
right,
But
And-
then again, the point is, don't come over here illegally. That's the point.
right.
I owe you nothing. If you come over here illegally, like, this sounds bad, but I could care
Sometimes a
less
little
what
bit of
happens.
rough love, though, is kind of necessary in a sense where it's like you can't rationalize in this situation the same way, Like, they're still human beings, of course, and they deserve that human basic right over there for them.
Human basic right. I'm going to put you on a bus and send you back home.
Yeah, exactly. I think that ICE has to deal with so much bullshit now to work around the system to bring them back. Like, I don't understand why we even have them in any kind of sort of holding cell.
No, send you straight back.
It's like they should just have buses going and just get them on the bus and bring them back, And then the bus leaves every day, stick them in there. But a lot of times they come over here really sick, though. They come over here, they get dehydrated, they get sick, they have diseases of some sort too. That we're turning around. We're like, we're gonna vaccinate them over here. We're gonna get them up to health over here. We're gonna kind of get like their blood taken just to make sure that they're okay. And then so we're going above and beyond in a bigger sense over there. But we get so much of an influx of people over there that we just can't keep up. You know, and that's the hard part.
I was talking with the lady at work, and she was saying. She was on their side and was saying, "Who are we to say that you can't come over here? It's not. We weren't here first either."
Yeah.
And she has a point. Like, I'm not playing God. I'm not over here saying you don't deserve to be here, but I am saying I pay taxes. You come over here. There's rules, and the rules say you can come over here, but you have to do A, B, and C.
Right.
When you don't do A, B, and C and you just come over here, then you are a burden on me and the whole system, because you're eventually going to downplay the whole system where I can't even afford the people to play the game, which says, hey, if you do A, B, and C, you can come over.
Right.
And that's where we're getting to the point. So everyone, you just play by the rules. And in media, CNN... all they want to portray, we're anti-immigration. We're not we're anti-illegal immigration.
Exactly. I mean, and that's the best part is, like, there's plenty of people that are immigrants that come over here, and they do amazing things for us over here. But they've done it all in a very legal sense over here too.
Yeah. There's
a lot of illegal people that come over here and they do great things for us as well. At the same time, though, it's an illegal action no matter what. Like. Say if I was wanting to be like the vigilante that I always wanted to be, I would be against the law, but I would still be doing good in there. It's still wrong. You're not. You can work around the whole situation. You can tie emotions to certain things, but at the end of the day, it's still wrong is wrong and right is right, and they're doing wrong. In a sense and then at the same time, it's very difficult for people to even make it over here too. If they want to be an immigrant over here and they have to get over here, the process is insane.
It's like a multi-year process.
Yeah, and then like of all the people we get upset about ourselves over here. Like, why the fuck is Mexico? Like, what? Why are people moving away from there so fast? Like. They need to fix their problem, Yeah. Like, if we had that problem over here and we were moving over to Mexico, like, we need to fix our problem, That's our problem. It's kind of, I don't know. It's like the brother, we're treating it like a brother that's just, like, in and out of having a bad situation, and now he's trying to come over here, and you got to cut him off in a sense sometimes, and that's a weird thing to think of a country to be able to cut off, like, you can't do certain things because that's innocent people of a sense too suffering for that situation. I don't know, how do you balance certain things like that? I'm just glad I don't have to deal with politics all day because it's bullshit. Because you're a balancing act of morals on top of, like, like you said, there's no such thing as really borders. That's something that we made. And, like, Indians didn't have borders over here. Native Americans didn't have borders over here. And they were just, they lived off the land. But then, of course, they had the tribe stuff where they were always fighting over, like, you can't be on this part of the land over here. And, it was just, they were still fighting too, And so it's just, I think it's just going to be a continual thing that we always have. But they're trying to humanize a situation,
It's the same. Let's say Jake's my twin. Jake and I, my dad gives us both $100,000 each. One of us invests it, and it turns into $1 million. The other drinks it all away. 10 years down the road, has nothing.
Right.
And he comes over and he says, I want your car. I want this. I want this.
Yeah.
You're my brother, fellow human. And that was my dad, technically that was my dad's money. But you don't deserve it because you made the wrong decisions. Everyone starts on the same, and I still believe that in America, we all still start from the same ground. Now, some of us, yes, have parents who give us
Right.
money, but it's still up to you and how much you want to do to grow who you are. The American dream is still very real. You can start from nothing and become a millionaire or billionaire.
Oh yeah, or
You just have to grind. You might have to work a little harder because that road's not already paved.
yeah,
But just the same, you've got the people who it's already paved, and if they don't get up every morning saying, "Hey, I'm gonna be better than what I was," they won't get that. They'll go backwards.
Yep, exactly. I mean, and that's the thing though. It's a constant strive. You got to have that strive for greatness over there for people. But they, I don't know, when it seems like they have a very, like, they're very fluctuating and they don't really know where they're going exactly. And then this is like it's a perfect opportunity over here. You know, like I would in their certain situation. I think I would be doing exactly what they're doing too. So to say that, that's the hardest part. It's like, I wouldn't want to be over in Mexico. I would want to be coming over here as fast as I could. And if I couldn't get in through the system, I would be just doing it illegally over here anyway. And so I see where they're coming from.
But also, and it's not made very public because it doesn't help their cause. But once they get over here, that is half the challenge. There's things you can do once you're here. Get you a visa. There's things you can do.
Big time.
And it's not that hard. You just have to start filing the paperwork, and at least so that way you're here, and it notifies America, hey, this guy is here, and it gets that ball. You kind of yes, you shortcutted it, but it's like, okay.
We don't just kick people out right away like that.
Yeah, you actually have a chance, but no, they don't want to do that, and you need to do that if you really want it. If you really want to be here bad enough, you took all that risk.
Yeah.
Take that next step.
And what I've seen before too is I've been to about maybe 7 or 8 locations. I do phone installs on a day-to-day basis, and I see new businesses. And I've seen businesses before, like you said, where you just go there. Not only can you get like your social security, they'll help you you'll get all logged in over there. They help you out all the way through the whole entire process, and like they help you with getting through school. That they go out of their way a lot, big time, to get you up to speed over here with being a citizen, even though you're not one and you're here, and they don't just go and kick you out over there. And those people are some of the nicest people too I met. I actually got in a good relationship with one of the guys that was out there. He was like, "Oh man," he was an IT guy and he worked for this company that had multiple different locations that did that. Super nice guy, bilingual. He was illegal at one point, so he's trying to help everyone. He's like, I'm trying to get all my family over here, and doing it legally over here, because he's like, nothing's better than that feeling of like just being here and being an American, Yeah. Because really, you're not an American if you come here illegally. You're here in America, but you're not an American.
Yeah. I think, and it's probably not said this way, but a lot of people, they come over here, and they get in their little community of other people who did the same thing, and they're all living that lifestyle. But if you look at anything that teaches you how to be successful, how to be wealthy, how to achieve your dreams, is you hang around the people who are where you want to be. Hang around the people who are doing the things you want to do. So if you came over here legally and your goal is, hey, I want to be successful, then hang around the people who did it. And who are doing those right steps. Because I know, and it's going to be outside your comfort zone, but that's the point. Get outside your comfort zone, so that way you can be comfortable in it.
Exactly, because when you go in like a cesspool type situation where the people coming in illegally, you're getting a lot of good people, but you're getting a lot of really shitty people on top of that too. You're getting a lot of people with a lot of different problems where they could be rapists, or they could be in the cartel and stuff like that. So you're dealing with people now. Like, to get through illegally, you have to go through a lot of different people, and a lot of times the cartel helps a lot of people get through.
And you got
Well, now you're stuck with that
Yep.
in there. Your kids are having to deal, like, we don't even talk about that. Your kids are having to deal with being around, people who are killers, and like it rubs off too. It rubs
and
off.
a lot of people, they come from other countries because they're running for their lives.
Yeah.
They like I had a it's my dad's cousin. He owned a meat market in Honduras, and he got in with the wrong crowd, and something went wrong, and they came after him with machetes.
Yeah.
He ended up in the hospital, and he knew he had to move. He had to leave.
Yep.
And so he ended up coming over here. He was able to get some paperwork done, so that he was able to what's it called? He was a refugee, or whatever. Is that
Oh
what
yeah.
It is?
Yeah. Refugee. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he was able to come over here legally that way. But yeah, you got a lot of people, and his was that. But I don't know. Some people are like, he's a good guy. Well, I don't know. He was obviously involved in stuff he shouldn't have been involved in.
Right.
And how many people are coming over that are that way? I'm sure there's quite a few.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
It went wrong, and now they're running because they know too much.
Yeah. And then it's cutthroat over there too.
Yep.
It's not the same over here, and the police turn a blind eye, and they're corrupt too. One thing I always thought too is just like, they're bringing stuff with them too. This baggage, they're bringing like having them be like illegal type situations that are prior to that, and it mixes with everyone that's trying to at least do good too, and I don't know how you get a situation out of that, how do you get people out of that situation, like a family, like like when you have a family that's going through that, and then the cartel's moving them, it's like I don't know how you prevent that from happening if they're still going to be trying to come over here illegally, I think we need to start working on our, I don't know, what do you work on, it's such a weird situation, you can't just free open your borders, you can't just,
Yeah.
I don't know, can't shoot everything that crosses the border,
I disagree with you. I think you can.
Yeah.
If you want someone to stop doing something,
You gotta bite them, I guess.
you keep biting them.
Yeah.
All it takes is one time to touch the stove, you don't touch it again, right?
Right. Ethically speaking, though, it doesn't seem good,
I don't think it has nothing to do with ethics. It's law. Law says don't come over here.
Right.
And it says if you come over here, I'm gonna shoot you. So if you know that and you still do it, that's called stupid.
Right.
And if you stupid, then you need to getting rid of anyway. So that's on you. I'm sorry.
I think we'll hopefully get our situation better over here. But then also, one thing I big time started realizing about just refugees in general, or just illegal immigrants coming over here too, is their society is different. Their politics are different. The way we are setting ourselves up, we are taking away where we can't say certain words. We're taking away. We
Yeah,
keep watering
freedom of
ourselves
speech.
down in a sense, but they're not watering themselves down. Like if you go over to states that are or different countries that are more Muslim related, they have Sharia law over there, and they're more of a cutthroat type people where they're very harsh. They're very different in comparison to what we have. Like let's just take for instance modern day feminism. Modern day feminism has watered us down so much with different situations where women do a lot of things over here, but the culture shock that happens if you move a refugee from over there to over here, they've been doing something entirely different the whole entire time. I mean, they've been, doing something where women can't speak in half the time, all this kind of stuff where if you can't just thrust somebody into that situation. And when it happens it seems like they start implementing their thoughts, their culture into the situation, which is not a bad thing, but if the two different situations clash, where it's like, let's just take for instance where you're supposed to cover up as a woman in, the Islamic type of situation, because if you're not, then you're just asking for a cut type thing where you're being a harlot, if you have like, let's just say short shorts, so that would almost account where it's okay to be raped of a sense, But over here, that has nothing to do with it. Like, it's short shorts sometimes don't even register as even being sexualized anymore because it's so prevalent.
Yeah.
But for them, it's not. And so it's like that's like a big thing for them. And so the dumbness of us trying to bring over people. I like the idea of helping people out, the idea of getting people out of a bad situation and trying to implement them up and build them up in a better way, but they can't be implemented in our society correctly because they have their own thing going for them, and then trying to I can't think of the word, not Frankenstein it, but trying to what is it when you do a medical procedure and you try to put in someone else's like organ in transplant. You can't thank you. I'm sorry, I had a brain fog there. Transplant. You can't transplant another culture into a society that's been so, different.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I don't think people are getting at. The idea there is good, but there's the action there of being able to do anything like that is just not. But then I see like with the Mexican type culture over there, they have a different culture, and it doesn't mingle very good with, they have a very high standard a lot of times with like, they bring all their flags over here. They have a lot of like, they love Mexico, but we're not gonna live there.
Yeah.
But we're gonna make Mexico over here, and I don't really understand that. Like, if you're here, you're here. You're American. You don't have to go raising your Mexican flags everywhere over here anymore. You don't have to, like, you're American, Even if you came over here legally from Mexico over here, you're not really American, but you're still here on American soil. You don't have to go raising or not just raising your flag, but, like, being so, like, wanting Mexico to be here, Like, you're like, oh, changing policies of sorts, like, if you're going to be voting, or if you're going to, like, it's weird that they can vote, but if you're going to be voting, you're going to be voting for someone that's going to be closer to allowing, it to be more Mexico-like, And it's like, you just came away from that, but you're bringing it with you too,
Yeah.
And it's just kind of weird. It's a weird situation to be in. Well, you were talking to me earlier over here on making your own resume, getting it all fired back up again over
Yep.
here, and revising it over
Revising
here.
it.
So,
Yeah.
and I was actually reading up a little bit about the crazy resumes that have been put out there here recently. I've actually seen a lot about resumes here recently.
Mm-hmm.
A coworker of mine's going through a whole bunch of resumes to find a job, and so I was sitting there and he was going through them all, reading them. He's like, I can't believe some of these people, like the millennials type thing, like how they're so, the entitlement of their how they try to present themselves is rather astonishing sometimes. It's kind of funny, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, you and me, we had the problem, like, when I fire up my resume every once in a while, I always tweaking it up just so I can have it on hand and stuff like that. But, like, it's always like, what do I put in there? Like all the different stuff. But, it's not like something like, I like to karaoke on the weekends. It's
Right.
like, no one cares if you karaoke on the weekends. My dad used to be he works for the same company still, but he got kind of bumped up into a higher position over here. But he was a tech support manager for a long time, and so I would always sit right next to him on the side and watch him. And when he was at home and stuff like that, and he was reading through some resumes at one point for some tech support jobs, and like some of the ridiculousness that came out of that was just like, I saw my dad just go, just like, what is going on here? There's one guy I remember that he had a nice resume. Then at the very bottom, it started getting kind of weird. It started saying that he was kind of into films and stuff like that, like filmography and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then it started showing a couple of the films that he was in over there. Full on pornography. I'm not joking. Okay. And it was like to type this up on your resume is like, you know, big dicks like it small or something like that. Like the movie, you know, and it's just like, oh my God, why did this guy put this on his resume? You know?
Right.
And it was just like one of those, like, it was like, oh, this guy looks really, really, oh, what?
No.
What? You know, it was just like, what are you seeing here? You know. But yeah, it's funny, and then I think it's always funny where people like just they use so many fillers, and they just I don't think anyone knows how to make a resume very good anymore, and that's something I think the school system isn't really teaching very well.
Yeah.
They're not like letting us like build a resume, you know, like I don't know. They kind of taught me how to build a resume, but not really. You know, they didn't give me real job application skills coming out into this market. I figured it all out pretty much myself. You know, and I think that's a failure on the full.
There's a
the
lot of
school
focus. I feel
system.
like there's a lot of focus on the interview part. Like, I remember, especially in English, especially in the high school years, there'd be a whole section dedicated to the interview process. But like in our day and age, it all starts with the resume. You send that resume online.
Yep.
They might not even they don't ever see you
Oh yeah.
until you usually take the your resume and you do an assessment, and then if you get through both of those, then you do an interview, face to face.
Oh yeah. No, that's the thing too. It's just like always. Everyone tries to make their resume out to be something that it's not, you know. And it's funny. It's funny to see like happen a lot. Entitlement of it is pretty funny to see sometimes too, where they say, you know, like I'm perfect at this, you know, and then you try to, if you ever have to talk to the people, you know, they can't give any good. Like you can see 2 weeks that they've worked here, and then you know 2 weeks that they've worked here, and 2 weeks that they've worked here, and you're like that's not good on your resume, you know.
Yeah.
But they think it's like, oh, you know, I've worked here, here, and here, you know. So now they've got a big resume, you know, and it makes them,
Really?
I guess, feel better. I don't know.
I think all the employers really want to see is that you maintain a job.
Oh yeah,
So they'd rather see you have one job with 13 years experience instead of 13 jobs with a year of experience in each one of them.
yeah, exactly. And then you just can't buy experience, man. Like experience is something that, like you understand too. Like now, after being with Home Depot for so long, you know how to do a lot of things.
Mhm.
So when you build your or revise your resume over here, I bet you it was pretty hard over there for you to consolidate all the different
It's hard
things
to
that you know.
cut shit out because it's like you do so much, you learn so much. It's like I want to put everything I learned, but it's like okay, I gotta cut it out because it's like I remember that. I remember how hard, how much that was pain to learn that. It deserves to be on here.
Yep. And then it's just like, and then, you know, they might skim through it and they read your name and then they give you a call back type thing, you know.
Yeah.
You never know, you know. It's just like, but what I found in the whole entire job industry wise, at least, is it's all about who you know, man. It really is. You get these dumb people or these really smart people in situations where, like, you're sometimes wondering, like, how did you get here? And then you're like, oh, you're a cousin to somebody, or you know somebody. It is big time about who you know, and
Yeah.
and it's interesting how the dynamics of the system work, you know. But then certain times you just get a lucky break, you know, and
Yeah.
you just don't know when those are gonna be, you know. But well, thank you for coming out here for this podcast over here. We had a good little session over here with
Yeah.
just talking. You know, this is how it goes with this podcast over here. If y'all have any other different topics that you would like to hear us talk about, be sure to let me know at djacksonshow at gmail.com. You can also see us live over here. We have a live podcast on Fridays. It's on our Facebook over here, and then right after that, it gets posted right over there to the podcast. We've got a camera now up, 2 cameras that we have set up over here now. So You can see our lovely faces. And they will be also broadcast over here on the YouTube channels. And of course, you can catch us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, all those kind of good different platforms. Be sure to check out the audible.com trial that we have over there. That trial over there is at www.audibletrial.com/D Jackson Show. And you get a 30-day free trial and one free audiobook on that one over there. But with all that said, though, y'all have a good rest of your night, and peace out. And the stream has stopped.
The recording too?